The woman realized she was not alone, was never in question. At long last, the conclusion arrived, and let me tell you, it was dull and uninteresting. The cancellation of And Just Like That was unfortunate, but I'm not sure I'll miss the show. The third season was much superior. Sometimes it was so embarrassing that I couldn't help but feel embarrassed. That level is already high, and the series finale, Party of One, raises it much higher. There is no sense of a series ending in this episode. Towards the conclusion, it becomes apparent that not all aspects of the story were justified. Despite being on her own, Carrie Bradshaw is not truly alone as the film ends. In my last review, I expressed my hope that the program would somehow bring Duncan back, but alas, that was not to be. Being taken by surprise can be enjoyable at times. I get that Carrie wanted to end the story as a single woman, but it seems like the season wasted a lot of time building up to the inevitable breakup between her and Aiden. In many ways, the entire series was a disgraceful farewell. The original release of And Just Like That was in 2021. There was a ray of optimism for the original fans who thought that seeing their beloved characters in their 50s might bring back some of the magic from the past. Things got off to a shocking start when Mr. Big, Carrie's husband, died of a heart attack while exercising on a stationary bike. It soon became common knowledge that some felt such a death belittled the program's legacy. But it did show that the show wouldn't be coy about its history or legacy. Instead of going in the right direction, it tripped over that heritage like a baby learning to walk. Obviously, Samantha wouldn't exist. Her on-screen counterpart, Kim Cattrall, has been extremely outspoken about the strained relationship she had with her former coworkers and her reluctance to return to the show. Lisa Todd Wexley, an aspiring documentary filmmaker, and Sarita Choudhury, a sexually active real estate agent, were two of the new companions that And Just Like That brought in to fill Samantha's shoes. Having said that, I found that these two individuals served mostly as diversionary plot devices. In the second season finale, Cattrall returned for a brief cameo as Samantha, just long enough to phone Sarah Jessica Parker's Carrie and inform her that she would not be able to attend the party. Great, campy, and regal as the sequence was, it only served to heighten my need for the character. From the start, And Just Like That was notorious for its hate-watching. This came to a climax when Miranda's marriage to Steve was dissolved and she had an affair with non-binary stand-up comic Che Diaz, who went on to become one of the most despised figures on the internet. The show's inept handling of aging was reflected in Che's terrible writing. The majority of the show dealt with the effects of aging by having its protagonists appear naive and foolish due to their disbelief at the rapid pace of global change since the turn of the millennium. Things like podcasts or eateries that employ electronic menus could throw them off. The humor and wit of sex and the city once allowed it to tackle weighty topics. Although not all of those inquiries hold up presently, the fact that they were all answered with, and just like that simply meant that nobody could continue to pretend to know what was happening. Following Big's death, Carrie's life has been rather dull. The program apparently didn't want to deal with her dating life in her 50s. So, they brought Aiden back after she dated a few people. Look, that section of the story is missing. It might have worked better if Carrie's journey was destined to conclude with her being single, even if only temporarily. However, I thought it was sweet that she confided in Charlotte about her long-held fear of being lonely. On this broadcast, Carrie may have been more candid than ever before. I was surprised by how little sympathy I felt for her. It won't hurt her. She should have given her last story more space to breathe. The editing was still lacking. The program failed to do it justice. The camera cuts to Carrie dancing alone in her residence and then jumps around to the other characters. That was probably meant to evoke some sort of emotion in us, but all it did was make me want it to end already. Again, everything is abruptly ended by, and just like that, nothing seemed to be getting across in the dialogue, and I felt like I was missing out. There was an air of haste about the Seema and Adam plot as well. It was unwarranted and poorly planned to bring up marriage and what it implies. It couldn't help but bring to mind the marriage story from Sex and the City's first season starring Carrie and Aiden. While unique, it had substance. In contrast, Seema and Adam haven't had anything substantial to work toward. It became more apparent midway through the series finale that nothing was really at risk. The fact that Steve showed up and that he and Miranda remained friends was great. Until season 3, her journey was fraught with difficulty. I still hope she and Steve will remain together, but it's a shame we won't see more of her romance with Joy or how it ends. Naya and her friends were portrayed in a way that I found offensive. It was more annoying than anything else. Even though the writers probably meant for it to be funny, it was also uninspired to make the younger characters annoying, rowdy, and terrible. I found it amusing that Victor Garber's character was in the overflowing restroom. His replies were excellent. While Harry recovers from surgery, Charlotte spends Thanksgiving with her loved ones. Charlotte's ending was the most fulfilling of all, because after a long and stressful season, she finally gets to relax with her family. A reminder that the characters on this show don't show their emotions too much is Lisa's story with Herbert and Marion. It appears that there's a limit to how far they can let their anger or frustration go before they control themselves. Although I understand that Herbert is still hurting from his election loss, I still didn't believe Lisa when she asked Herbert to marry her again. It's okay that she told Marion they can simply be friends at work. The show had some interesting discussions regarding marriage, but Lisa's response didn't make sense compared to Charlotte's, who suggested starting anew. Things moved too swiftly and too slowly simultaneously. Even though there is an improved version of the series finale of And Just Like That, the HBO Max show wasted time that could have been used for other things, and there were obviously issues with pacing. Although some of the storylines in And Just Like That were interesting, the series lacked the courage to fully execute most of them. Regrettably, following the series end, all that remains is the potential of what could have been. Throughout the majority of the previous season, Carrie appeared to be aimlessly wandering around in her luxury clothing, lacking any concrete objectives beyond an abstract concept of passionate love. She lacked aspirations due to her excessive wealth. It's hardly tragic that she left sex in the city without a partner, but the writers gave it more weight than it deserved. Like the question, "Will this do?" from And Just Like That, it's meaningless and merely fills the space in between. Carrie finally cracked the joke that the entire episode about the blocked toilet was supposed to deliver after a particularly awful episode. A peaceful farewell was had. Clearly, they sensed that their time was running out. It became clear to me that this might be a wonderful place to stop while writing the last episode. Showrunner Michael Patrick King said in a statement announcing the show's permanent closure at the beginning of August.